Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Nigro here with a brief introduction to measurements in the metric system. This video goes along with your worksheet that was handed out in class, so please make sure you have that handy and you're filling things in as you listen. All right, so we're moving into the next portion of our unit, which deals with tools of the scientist, and that's measurements and the metric system. At the end of the introduction, you really should be able to answer the following questions. You should be able to tell me what the difference is between quantitative and qualitative observations. You should have a good idea of what is meant by the word measurement. You should know what unit describes the mass, the volume, the length, the amount, and the temperature of a substance. In a separate video, you're going to learn how to fill in a metric line, and I'll show you how to use that metric line to move between prefixes in that metric unit. All right, so let's start with qualitative versus quantitative. All right, we should have heard these words at some point during our unit, all right, but just as a reminder, quantitative should have numbers. All right, it's going to be required some sort of measurement, and that measurement will include numbers and units. Oh, let me fix that. All right, a qualitative observation is more descriptive. All right, so if we look at our apple here, all right, under the qualitative side, I could say things like it's red, all right, it looks wet, all right, maybe it's crunchy when you eat it. All right, on the quantitative side, I could say something like it has a diameter of, I don't know, 26 centimeters. All right, I could say it has a mass of 200 grams. All right, but the key here is the quantitative side requires numbers, which means measuring, whereas the descriptive is the qualitative side. All right, so if you're asked to give quantitative observations, you're going to need tools and you're going to be making measurements. If you're asked for qualitative information, it's descriptive. What do you use your senses to observe about that particular object? All right, we're going to focus on the quantitative side for this message. All right, first up, measurements. What are measurements? Well, basically, I call them numbers with letters, all right? And they're the numbers that we obtain when we measure a quantity using some sort of tool, all right? Every measurement that you take has to have two parts. It has to have a number and a unit, all right? Numbers without units don't mean anything. So in other words, if you were driving somewhere and someone asked you for directions, let's say you're going to Oscars, and they said, well, how far is that? You would say, I don't know, 2.3 miles. You wouldn't just look at your friend and say 2.3, because then they have no idea what that 2.3 is in reference to. So we have to have units that go along with these numbers. All right, the tools are some that we're used to. We've seen rulers, all right? You guys have probably seen a scale and a thermometer. All right, there's some other ones that we're going to use this year. We did use a balance last week in class, so that's an option. And then we are going to be using some graduated cylinders in this unit. All right, those are all tools that allow us to measure something about our substance. All right, the key here is remember, a measurement must have a number and a unit. A number without a unit is not a measurement. All right, along with having numbers and units, we have to keep in mind that measurements are not always perfect. All right, all measurements are going to include some degree of uncertainty, some estimation within that measurement. All right, shockingly, we as humans are not perfect, and when we measure something, we may do it slightly differently than someone else would. And because of that, our measurements may not be exact to one another, and that puts uncertainty into our measurements. Also, we design the tools that we use to make these measurements, which means that they are also imperfect. All right, so our measuring tools are imperfectly perfect at measuring. But that doesn't mean we don't measure things. Absolutely not. Our goal is always going to be to make measurements as reliably as we can and to include the minimum amount of uncertainty. All right, so for us, what we usually do is conduct multiple trials. So we'll measure something multiple times, and then we'll take the average of those measurements, and that removes a good bit of our uncertainty. All right, so the measurement system that we work in science is the metric system. Now, as Americans, we are used to using the imperial system, and we are one of 3 countries, us, Liberia, and Myanmar, that still use that system. And that system includes pounds, and includes miles and inches. Right? The metric system is a much more streamlined measurement system. And since that is used by a majority of the world, scientists, even in the United States, have decided to switch to that system and work exclusively in the metric system when we talk science. All right? Now, why does the rest of the system use, or the rest of the world rather, use the SI metric system? It's just simpler. I mean, it's much, much simpler. All right? If you look at this figure here, right, all of this in the blue box represents the imperial system options for measuring length. All of these. So, I mean, you're probably used to inches, feet, yards, and miles, all right? But converting between each of these is different. There are 12 inches in a foot, 3 feet in a yard, 1,760 yards in a mile. I mean, that's not uniform. And then we've got all kinds of crazy stuff like nails. I mean, my favorite up here is poppy seeds. All right, so that's just nuts. If you look at the red box, that's the metric system. All right, we have one base unit, which in this case is the meter, and then we put a prefix on the front of that base unit to increase and decrease our amounts by a factor of 10. Very straightforward, very simple. I don't know why we as Americans cannot decide to move with the metric system. Maybe it'll happen someday. Maybe you guys can make that happen. All right, so let's talk about those base units. All right, so the metric system has been further streamlined into what's called the SI system, which is the International Systems of Units. All right, it's the modern version of the metric system, and it includes 7 base units that are derived from constants of nature, such as the speed of light and the charge of an electron. So these 7 base units are shown in the table below. All right, if you look at your note sheet, you're going to see a same table there, so make sure you fill those in. All right, the physical quantity measured, the base unit, and then the SI abbreviation for that unit is shown. So if you want to look at the quantity of something, we call that the mole, and we abbreviate that MOL. If you want to look at length or distance, that's the meter, which is a lowercase m. Mass is kilograms, lowercase kg. Time is in seconds, lowercase s. Temperature is in kelvins, uppercase K. And then current is the ampere, uppercase A. Luminosity is the candela with a lowercase cd. All right, so if you need to pause for a minute and fill that table in, please do so. All right, I'm going to move on, and we're going to talk about each one of these a little bit more. All right, we're going to start with mass. All right, so if you're looking at your worksheet, if you flip it over to the other side, there's a graphic there that you can fill in with this information about what each unit represents and what tools we use and what the unit itself is. So mass is a measure of the amount of matter within a sample. All right, we use a balance to measure, and I've got an example of that right here. All right, this is different from a scale. All right, and it's different from a scale because mass and weight are 2 different things. All right, weight is a measure of how gravity is pulling on the matter within a sample. All right, and it depends on where you are in the universe. On the planet Earth, you may have a particular mass of 120 kilograms and a weight of 1,200 newtons. And newtons is a new unit, but we're not going to talk about that one too much. All right, the key here is if you then move yourself to the moon, all right, your mass stays the same. It's still 120 kilograms because you have the same amount of matter. All right, but your weight has dropped to 200 newtons. That's because gravity is less on the moon. All right, in science, we stick to the amount of matter. All right, so we're always going to be talking about mass, which means we use balances and we use the kilogram as our unit. Time, we all understand what time is, but generally speaking, it's the measurement of the duration of an event. All right, we measure time using various tools, stopwatches, timers, clocks. You know, we have this lovely hourglass. We don't do much with that in science, but I mean, you could. The SI unit that we use for time is the second. Length, another measurement you are probably familiar with, is the measurement of an object from one end to the other. It can also measure the distance between 2 points. And we use tools like rulers, meter sticks, and this is the example of a tape measure, all right, to measure in the unit of meters. all right? A meter is slightly longer than a yard. So when we have meter sticks in our classroom, if you held one up to a yardstick, you would see it's slightly longer, all right? And we represent this unit with a lowercase m. Quantity of substance might be a new term for you. All right, we represent this with the unit called the mole, and it's used to measure the amount of a substance. Really, it's how we group things that are really, really small, like atoms or molecules, into something that is observable. All right, so for example, if you had donuts instead, you might want to group them into a dozen. And we know that a dozen contains 12 of that particular object. So a dozen donuts is 12 donuts. All right. Now, if atoms and molecules were as big as a donut, we could use 12. All right. But instead, they're tiny. So we need a group that has a much, much larger number of objects in it. And that is the mole. All right. The mole contains 6,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000 objects. This is basically 602 sextillion objects. That is a lot, all right? But because atoms and molecules are so tiny, that's actually not that much in the big scheme of things, all right? The last two, well, no, not the last two. Two of the last three are not ones we're going to see very much in this class, but we're going to put them here anyway because they are base units. Current is the first one. It's the flow of electrons around a closed circuit. All right, when you think about the current of electricity, really comparing it to water is your best bet because it really is like a river. It's just flowing around through a wire instead of in between two banks. Right? The SI unit for this is called the Ampere, and it's represented with an uppercase A. And we use a tool that's shown here that's called an ammeter to measure the flow of those electrons. Now, temperature is something that we talk about, right? But we actually need to think about temperature slightly differently when we're talking about in terms of science. It's a measure of the amount of kinetic energy or motion within an object, right? Now, you may look at, say, a cup sitting on your table and you say, well, that's not really moving. But the reality is that the atoms and molecules that make up the cup are actually always in some sort of motion. Now, it could just be vibration, but there is motion there. All right, as that motion increases, the temperature is going to go up. So as the kinetic energy increases, so does the temperature. All right, think of it this way. When you get hot, you move a lot faster. When you're really cold, you go very slow. All right, the two scientific scales that we use, Celsius shows up quite a bit. All right, but Kelvin is our SI unit. And obviously the tool is the thermometer. And then finally, luminosity. Now this is another one that we're not going to see too much of, but just so you know, luminosity, also known as luminous intensity, is just a measure of the brightness of light that's given off by a light source. All right, it can be a candle, it could be a fire, it can be a light bulb, a halogen bulb, whatever. If it emits light, then we can measure its luminous intensity. All right, we measure that with the unit called the candela, abbreviated lowercase cd, and we use what's called a photometer to measure that intensity. All right, those are your 7 base units. All right, there are many other units. Those are called derived units. All right, base units help us derive these more complex units. All right, great example of a derived unit is volume. All right, if I have a cube and I want to determine the volume, I can multiply 3 length measurements to get that volume. That's what makes it derived versus a base unit. All right, the metric unit for this derived unit for volume is called the liter, which hopefully you have heard of. All right, and we use several tools for measuring volume, some which you use in your kitchen, like measuring cups, teaspoons, but we also use beakers and graduated cylinders in the lab. Some other derived units you might have heard of include area, density, and force. All right, we'll be talking about several of those this year. Okay, so that's your overview of what measurements are and the different units within the SI system. The second video is going to look at metric conversions, and in particular, the 6 prefixes that we are going to be working with as part of our work within the metric system. All right, so make sure you finish up your notes, and then once they're done, you move on to the metric conversion work. Okay? If you have any questions, as always, come ask.